Good afternoon and welcome to NCC News at 4:45. I am Ben Hekping.
And I'm Alexis Scott. Thanks for joining us today.
Working with others and sharing office spaces is now becoming a trend around the world. NCC News reporter Exalami Balingay is here to tell us how the concept of shared spaces is growing locally. Asia?
Yes, guys, that's right. Traditional office spaces are now being replaced by one single office, and this is actually preferred by many. So if you are an entrepreneur, a startup company owner, or a freelancer, you do not necessarily need to buy a whole place anymore. You can simply rent an area in a shared office space.
Mental Health First Aid is reaching out through Twitter to help people making the transition back to campus. It's the kind of efforts Kansas Congresswoman Lynn Jenkins had in mind when she championed the Mental Health First Aid Act in 2016.
It helps train leaders, educators, law enforcement, folks that are kind of on the front lines in communities, how to recognize if there is someone that they meet up with that has potentially a mental illness.
The act provides $15 million each year to fund programs around the country.
When you look around even Kansas, there's not really one family that hasn't been touched in some way, shape, or form by this issue.
Our top story today, residents and planning experts have expressed concern over the new housing units that are being built around the University Hill area in Syracuse.
NCC's Benjamin Ekpingyon reports on the impact of having too many buildings with more than 1,000 vacant rooms open at the same time.
1,300 new vacant housing units will be available for occupation in Syracuse this fall. A Syracuse development consultant, David Markenwich, says this creates uncertainty.
What no one really knows is what is going to be the impact of having built so many beds at once.
He blames this development on poor government policy.
City agencies and the decision-making bodies such as the Board of Zoning Appeals or the Planning Commission or the Common Council have bent the rules basically to let these developments go forward.
The council is extending tax exemptions to companies like this to invest in Syracuse. But many are questioning how practical this policy is.
They're asking for tax exemption because it's there, not because they need it. And quite frankly, at this point, you're over-subsidizing something that doesn't need to be subsidized. You don't need more of these units at this point.
The tariff war between the U.S. and China could have a real impact on the multi-billion-dollar agriculture industry in Kansas.
It's going to affect a lot of our industry partners, whether it's from seed, chemical, industrial, tractors, equipment. It's going to affect everything.
And it makes planning difficult too.
There's a lot of uncertainty in the market, and which obviously affects how can farmers plan and make decisions about planting and the like, which obviously need to be made.
So farmers like Charles Atkinson of Great Bend are turning to Congress for help.
What we're looking at doing is trying to get the word out that agriculture could be in a serious situation, and we want to basically get the tariff resolved as quick as we possibly can.
Vinyl record is trendy again, and fans of vinyl record conduct their treasure hunt at record stores, where vinyl record is now in the front row.
If I can get the same recording on CD and vinyl for the same price, I think I would actually pick the vinyl. I do like the way it sounds.
It puts you in a very happy place, and with that depth of sound that you're not going to get from CDs and MP3s.
Play the music occasionally through a sound system, and it sounds much better than today's music.
Some local shops that are stocking vinyl cater for all taste, starting from pop to classical and everything in between. Vinyl record comes in two sizes. The 7-inch record plays at 45 revolutions per minute, and the 12-inch long play record plays at 33 1/3 revolutions per minute.
What is your view or the stance of the PRP, your party, on the federal government's white paper on Justice Way's report on electoral reform?
The government white paper confirms our position all along, that the PDP, which grabbed violently all legislative positions and all executive positions, cannot author a legitimate electoral process.
It's been a pleasure having you on Open Assembly today.
Establish relationship with the civil society groups, the religious groups, the press, all stakeholders. And we had regular weekly meetings with one or the other for a period of about 2 years. And the message was these elections belong to all of us. All of us must own these elections, otherwise they won't come through. And we succeeded in getting the ownership of the people.
Tell us about your appointment.
I was appointed in May of 2005. And before my appointment, I think the government had been trying for about almost 11 months to get a chair. And for the commission, the commission was vacant and they needed a chair. And the president had nominated 3 candidates, and they were turned down by Parliament. I was the 4th candidate, and I made it through.
With AIT News. All sides, all the time.